Detroit's pulse, yeah, Val's the frontliner. Spotlight on the stage, she's the
On Mardi Gras Day, you've seen Zulu roll down the avenue. Now you can see the story behind Zulu on Netflix in the documentary A King Like Me.
A King Like Me is the first ever documentary portrait of the Zulu Social Aid and Pleasure Club, an over 100-year-old fraternal society of black men in New Orleans that celebrates their shared legacy and history of kind of community support through times good and bad. Beloved and cherished cultural tradition here in New Orleans, and also one that a lot of people don't understand. So this film is an attempt to kind of paint the history of the club, to show its importance culturally across time.
Welcome to Detroit, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wish I was actually there.
Oh, we
And I
wish
feel
you were
it.
actually
I
there.
feel it now. I feel it. I love Detroit. I've had great times.
There's absolutely no place like the D, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a D girl, but we're rich in all of our heritage. And there's just no place that has a vibe like the D. So we are humbled, gentlemen. V-List, let me tell you who we have in house. Academy Award winner, executive producer, Fisher Stevens. We have award-winning director, Matthew O. Henderson. And this project, I had to think about, I had to kind of go over my history with it because I know of it. This is streaming on Netflix right now, gentlemen.
Yes.
Yes,
This is A King Like Me, which follows members of the New Orleans Zulu type of pleasure club, Mardi Gras, which I did not even know officially this started as a black entity. Let me get started, first of all, with you, Fisher. How does this come to tangibly be a project of yours?
Well, I had in 2019 directed a film called Palmer with Justin Timberlake in New Orleans. And a good friend of mine named Matthew Dillon took me one night to this club called the Zulu Social Aid and Pleasure Club. And I had the best time, and I love the people and I love the place. Cut to, we finished the movie, COVID hits, we're all restless. I read an article that a lot of members of this club are dying faster than most populations anywhere else in the country. Why are so many black men especially dying so quickly of COVID? I read the article. I sent it to Matt. Matt and I had done a movie together called Before the Flood with Leonardo DiCaprio in 2016. And Matt worked with me on that as my camera guy. And I said, Matt, let's drive down to New Orleans. I know these guys. I got permission to film with them. Do you want to do this with me? And we got another cameraman. And in June 2020, we drove down to New Orleans, originally just not sure what the film was, but we did have permission to, and Matt can get into this more, but I wanted to kind of make a movie about what was going on. Like, why were so many of these guys dying? Why weren't more people dying? We lived in Brooklyn, Matt and I.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's because of the health disparity in the country. So let's start there. So Matt and I went down, and then we drove nonstop, and we had done about 16 interviews. And Matt, you can take it from there. And I basically said, Matt, you are ready to direct. You want to direct. You're ready to direct. Let's go. This is the thing. Let's go.
This is correct me if I'm wrong. Is this your first directorial piece?
It is. Yeah, this is my directorial debut.
How did this happen for you without stating the obvious?
Yeah. I think, other than, Fisher really handing me this project and telling me that I was ready to direct this, it's all based on relationships, and Fisher and I worked on that movie back in 2016. We developed a great working relationship together, and we're always looking to find a project to work on again. And then, tragically, when COVID hit and the Zulu Club was as devastated as they were, this was the project, and so for, that first trip that Fisher mentioned when we went down in June, we filmed 16 in-depth interviews that were anywhere between 60 to 90 minutes long, with a community that was ready to tell their story. Excuse me. You gotta remember, we're about a month after George Floyd was murdered. There was just such a rawness because of COVID and just because of the state of Black life and the fragility of Black life in this country at the time. And what we walked away with were 16 powerful interviews that became just the bedrock of our storytelling for this film. And what our emotional core, the centerpiece of this is Terrence Rice. He's an incredible individual who's a dear friend to this day, who shepherded us through the community, through Zulu, and just introduced us to individuals who became just beautiful participants in this film. It was a challenging film to make, because as we got on in the filmmaking and the editing process, we moved more away from the COVID storyline and just really leaned into the power of Zulu in the community.
Fisher, one looking on the outside of this, on the inside, they see a prominently known Academy Award winning executive producer, but you're white. First thing we say is, what's the passion outside of the human element of this that drives you to do what you did and be so passionate about what you've done for this project?
Well, I was, I'm old. I was raised in the 60s. My mother was, when I was like 5 years old, I was protesting for civil rights on the street. I remember reading the autobiography of Malcolm X when I was 10 years old. I've been passionate about civil rights my whole life. This story just struck a chord for me. And I feel like that when I went down there with Matt, and also just seeing Matt's relationship with the club and my relationship, I was like, these are voices that their stories don't get told. And I, as a filmmaker, was fascinated, and as an activist, was fascinated to have these voices be told, knowing that I am not the guy to spearhead that, and knowing that Matt is the guy to spearhead that, but that I would kind of support it and help in any way I can to get this film out, and support Matt in any way I can. And I just fell in love with Terrence, to be honest, too, and all the characters in the club. And as I said, like, I'd been down there so many times, but I didn't really know the real deal. And also
even you didn't know the gravity of this.
No, I had no idea. And Jacques Morial, who's our kind of historian, whose family, his father was the first black mayor in New Orleans, and his family are powerful. Jacques laying out the history for us in such a blunt and entertaining way. I mean, this is stuff people need to know. And this shit is going on now. So I don't know if I can swear, but
no, yes, you can.
Look at what's going on now in this country.
Come on.
Look at what we're going through. This film has more relevance now than it's ever had. And people need to just watch this film. I don't care what you think or what you believe, but this is honest filmmaking. And I think Matt just did a brilliant job, just not judging, but just saying, this is how it is. And this is what it's like. And this is what we've been through. So
this is 116-year proud Black society. How do you encompass other personalities behind the original ones? How do you do that?
I was always taught, your story should always lean. The moment your audience sits back, you've lost them, So what we try to build upon is the momentum of the history and the stories that come forth in this film. Each of the individuals that we spoke to outside of the, and actually including the 16 individuals that we interviewed on that first trip, they all have something to say. And, we have, cards that we write up in the edit, in terms of we're connecting themes and ideas. And for us, if it wasn't connected to the Zulu Club, if it wasn't connected to Terrence's story, if it wasn't connected to New Orleans, it didn't make the cut. So we really tried to just center the voices of the native New Orleanians to make this story sing.
Well, I got to tell you, all of Detroit is looking at this. It's already on Netflix right now, streaming. It is A King Like Me. Gentlemen, with the things that our country are going through right now, I applaud you. I am very proud to have watched this and literally been not only jaw dropped, but emotionally moved. It is people like you who make our world better. I thank you so much for your gift. I thank you so much for spending time here on the V List. And when you come to Detroit, do not act like you do not know me.
All right.
Hey, let's go family now.
I love your city. Be there soon, I hope.
You better. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I will be actually watching it with my family for the second time. Thank you so much for your vision and your passion.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you, Val.
No problem.
Bye.